The story begins, and we are shown a house in a faraway place. The place where there is a very loud noise, and a father is saying to his son, who becomes a warrior these days. His son wants to learn magic, he wants to become a magician. But his father is forbidding him to do this. His son wants to fulfill his dream. But his family does not have that much money. And so there's a fight, and after a while, he made a huge ruckus and left. But what does he do now? He's got to find a way to come up with the tuition fee if he wants to enroll in magic school. The tuition fee must be pretty expensive. Only the damned rich kids get to have good things. He wants to look like that too, but this isn't the time to grab a wand. He needs to do what he can first. He's got to gather up some money by working at a mine and then learn magic. He's gonna be the world's greatest magician. He works too much, and spends too much time working. And Grandpa Tan grows old, and so he spent 50 years hammering. As he gathered up money, the tuition fee grew more expensive thanks to damned inflation. The skin on my palms got firmer, and my body even more stronger. Then someone comes to that place, whose face is very strange, and he says to Grandpa Tan, "It's already bad enough that labor costs have gotten more expensive. Do you want to get fired, Gramps? People like you love to make easy money off of others. That's why you're still a minor at that age." And we are told, a magician punk who was born to rich parents, and became the owner of this mine. Today's the last day I see that fucker's face and force a smile. And Grandpa Tan thinks so, because it's the day I've gathered enough money for the tuition fee. You young punk, but I need to collect my pay for today. And after some time we see, magic school entrance. And Grandpa Tan has come to this place and thinks, you need a wand to get into the school, but since I got no money left, I'll go with my hammer. It kinda looks like a stick with something on it. From now on, I'm a magician. I wanna do a fireball spell so bad. But then someone stops Grandpa Tan, and says that outsiders are not allowed in this place. And Grandpa Tan gets angry after hearing this, but Grandpa Tan says, I came to pay the registration fee. And hearing this, the guard gets surprised and thinks, is he giving up his lifelong savings for his grandson? But the guard says yes to Grandpa Tan to leave. And Grandpa Tan goes inside very happily. It's the day my dreams finally come true. Well, looks like things are finally looking up. But then suddenly, a portal opens at that place. And from that portal come out demons and a huge dragon. Seeing which everyone starts running away in fear. And this thing shucks for Grandpa Tan. Many people are killed at that place. And at that place we see a girl. This girl is Senna, 19 years, magic school third-year student. And Senna thinks, a monster appearing in the center of magic school. And just when the teachers are on a trip, and a demon comes to that place and says, why the long face? Looks like from now on our demon clan will personally rule over you all. And our first target is magic school. And Senna attacks that demon with her fire magic. But that demon says, your defense is useless, and then the dragon makes a fire attack from its mouth, and it is going directly towards Senna. And Senna gets really nervous, because it's a dragon breath attack, and she thinks, ugh. Am I going to die like this? Without a chance to avenge my classmates. But then Grandpa Tan comes to that place and says, don't give up. To block that attack, he attacks the ground with his hammer, creating a wall. And stops that dragon's attack. And Senna is shocked to see that an elder saved her life. And Grandpa Tan tells him, a young person shouldn't give up so easily. Don't you know no pay no gain? Hearing Grandpa Tan's words, Senna thinks, don't feel thankful even though he saved me. But Senna sees something that scares her, and tells Grandpa Tan to look behind him. And behind Grandpa Tan was the dragon, who was about to open his mouth and eat Grandpa Tan. But this makes Grandpa Tan angry that this rascal wants to eat me. But Grandpa Tan disappears from that place and directly attacks the dragon with a hammer. An elder is speaking, and you're showing no respect. Take that. That's a noogie, you punk. And due to Grandpa Tan's attack, the dragon dies on the spot. And seeing this thing, both Senna and Demon get surprised, and Demon thinks, he took out a demon dragon with one hit? That's impossible. I never heard there was someone like that before. This won't do. Before that bastard regains his strength, I need to, surprise attack. And the demon attacks Grandpa Tan with his hand. After attacking Grandpa Tan, the demon thinks, how's that? I've got the swiftest speed, even among demons. And after a while, the demon realizes something. What? Why is my hand? And Grandpa Tan says to that demon, both of you seem to be missing some basic manners, don't you? Kids nowadays need a little whack to the head to listen. And the demon gets surprised seeing Grandpa Tan's power, an incredible display of determination. But there's no way such a slow weapon would hit, and try to retreat. But he feels something. Why is he not able to step back? And when the demon looks down, the demon realizes that Grandpa Tan is holding his leg with his own. Well, look what we've got here. An elder is talking to you, and you're walking away? Grandpa Tan's attack generates a lot of power, due to which the demon is killed. And only the lower part of that demon's body remains. They think you're a friend when you listen to them a little. Back in my days you couldn't even dream about interrupting an elder. That time yelled at his dad and ran away from home. And after this big commotion, now that place is being repaired. Also Senna is telling Grandpa Tan, can't believe the Chancellor asked to meet you first. You must have done a great deed. And Grandpa Tan thinks, I'm just glad I get to attend this school. And both of them reach that place. This is the Chancellor's office. And Grandpa Tan goes inside. And looking in front he gets surprised and thinks, no way. Old peaked hat. The walrus eyebrows and mustache. The Peter Pan shoes no one wears nowadays. And even the medicinal herb tea with an egg yolk in it. He's no doubt the definition of a grand sorcerer. And this old man is Magic School Chancellor Grand Sorcerer Elasto. And Elasto asks Grandpa Tan, gentlemen, are you the one who saved our school? I never expected them to attack while the teachers were away. I don't know how to thank you enough. But Grandpa Tan is still a little nervous, the best among all the living magicians. I can't believe I got to receive herb tea from him. And Elasto says, this elder said he came to register at our school. And Elasto says, ho ho. Learning magic at that age? If you ever need anything from me, I'll be happy to help. And Grandpa Tan becomes happy after listening to Elasto's words. And so, Tan got a full scholarship at magic school and an autograph from Elasto. And after a few days, Grandpa Tan is sitting in the magic class. And a little nervous too, and thinking, it's finally my first class. And the instructor comes inside the class, and this is Magic School's first-year instructor Fort. And Fort says, today, we'll learn fire magic. Hold your hands over the magic circle and think about gathering mana in your hands. Change the form of your mana into fire. And this is the first time that Grandpa Tan has seen a magic circle. He tries to do magic, but nothing works. And Grandpa Tan says, well, it's only the first class. Everyone else must be the same. But when he looks ahead, all the children are able to use that fire magic easily. Every child around Grandpa Tan is using fire magic comfortably. And seeing this, Grandpa Tan's face falls. And today's class ends here. After this, a kid comes to Grandpa Tan and says, why were you here when you can't even get a basic technique right? Isn't studying ahead before attending magic school a given? And this guy, magic school's first-year bullies, Arnold and friends. And Arnold says, I almost thought the principal was pulling a prank by acting like a freshman. And a girl is telling other people with a magic crystal ball, Arnold is bullying some weird grandpa. So funny, lol. And now Grandpa Tan gets angry and says, you punk. Old people make mistakes too. Looking down on an elder like that. But it doesn't matter to Arnold, and he says, the way he talks. Starting his words with you punk, like a boomer. And another student also says, no prune juice for you for 3 days. And all the children together are making fun of Grandpa Tan and laughing at him. And Grandpa Tan is trying to keep himself calm, hold it in. I can't fight with a classmate on my first day. But still the children are making fun of Grandpa Tan a lot, and they are saying, raise your head up, now smile. Grandpa started crying in front. Damn funny. And Grandpa Tan shouts to all of them, I wasn't crying, but you kept asking if I was crying. I just got sad. But Arnold attacks Grandpa Tan with a fireball and says, your punishment for crying. Fireball, you can't do this, can you? LOL. And that fireball hits Grandpa Tan directly. And all the kids laugh at Grandpa Tan, he couldn't even block that. Hee hee, Gramps won't be able to use magic till the day he dies. OMG, he threw a fireball. Kinda doing too much though. But when Arnold looks ahead, he gets scared because now Grandpa Tan has got angry. And seeing Grandpa Tan's anger, Arnold is unable to do anything. And pees in his pants. And in fear he says sorry to Grandpa Tan, and now all the rumors start spreading in the whole school. We haven't learned water magic yet? Breaking news: below Arnold's legs she rises. He got scared and pissed himself, lol. And after this we see Demon King's castle. And a demon is telling the Demon King, we invaded magic school just as you ordered, but unlike the information we received, some weird grandpa got in the way, and ruined our plans. And after listening to that demon, the Demon King says, one human grandpa took out a demon dragon and an A-rank demon? How disappointing. And this is the Grand Demon, Satan. And the Demon King further says, since our demon lifespan is long, and that bastard is only an old human, why don't we wait for him to die a natural death? But another demon cuts off the head of that demon. And says, how dare you say such nonsense? I executed that bastard for daring to undermine the demon's authority, telling us to wait for the right time because he fears a mere human. Sounds too ridiculous. And this demon is Demon King's right-hand man, Amon. And seeing Amon's reaction, the Demon King thinks, fuck. He just killed him even though he sounded right. But the Demon King says, you did well, my right-hand man. We cannot succumb to a mere human. And the Demon King thinks, whatever, us demons acting like losers would be annoying. And orders all the demons, first, get that grandpa to kneel before me. Dead or alive. And all the demons become happy after hearing the words of the Demon King. Wah. War. It's time for war. And the scene changes, and we see Grandpa Tan, who is sitting on a rock with a very sad heart, and Senna comes to that place. And says to Grandpa Tan, I hear you couldn't get down the basis of fire magic? Worse off, all the other first years got it in one try. And Grandpa Tan says, did you come to make fun of an old man? Plus, that's a lie. They didn't all get it in one try. And Senna says to Grandpa Tan, you told me not to give up, aren't you the one giving up now? Elder, magic doesn't work with just the thought of using magic. Fire is the combustion of a hot matter combined with oxygen. You must have prior knowledge on how fire works. You just need to understand the magic element to be able to use it. Didn't you say you smashed rocks and earth for the past 50 years? Why don't you start with earth magic instead? Here. This is an earth magic circle. Start with collecting the earth from your surroundings. Earth gather with your hand. And Grandpa Tan thinks, what I know about earth. Earth and rocks I spent 50 years with. The feel of rocks as I smashed them with my hammer. I remember. O earth. To my summons I implore, O sweat. In my labor, reveal what's in store. Whoa, I made a rhyme. And in another place two people are talking, Grandma, will we be making it o'er that mountain by nightfall? If we can't, we won't get to the market in the morrow, we're going to die one way or the other. And suddenly, the mountain disappeared. And Senna gets very surprised, because Grandpa Tan has summoned a big mountain. And Grandpa Tan is holding that rock, but suddenly someone comes to that place and says, hey. Are you that Grandpa? We're the Demon Twins. Blin and Blaine. We'll be the first ones to kill you and hand you over to our Demon King. And Grandpa Tan says, demons? At a time like this. And then Grandpa Tan gets back pain. Due to which Grandpa Tan starts staggering, and he starts falling. Due to this the rock falls directly on both of them demons, and after this, the Demon Twins, now past tense, and Grandpa Tan gets up and says smilingly, how'd you like my hurry? Can the backdrop move? You demon punks! In the next scene we see, a demon comes out of the portal and says, is this the place? The dwelling of the damn old man, who took the lives of my subordinates. And this demon is, commander of the demon army's 10th division, Buer. And after this the scene shifts, and the teacher is saying, today, you'll be grouped with your seniors and practice monster hunting with them. And the name of this group is, the hastily formed monster hunting group. And inside this group are, 3rd year Senna, 1st year Tan, 2nd year Vito. And Vito looks at Grandpa Tan and thinks, what's with the old guy? Is he a pro-magician? We already have Senna Sunday here though? Why is someone like this in our group? And when Grandpa Tan sees a slime, he becomes very happy. Because he wants to hunt that slime. And Grandpa Tan wants to attack that slime with a fireball, but no fireball comes out from his magic stick. And seeing this, Vito thinks, wow. It's my first time seeing fart magic. Just wow. And Senna says, Elder? You're already so good at something else. Why do you insist on being stubborn? But Grandpa Tan says, I want to make a fireball. Just know this. I'm gonna hunt all the monsters here. I'm only using fireball attacks for today. And Vito, seeing Grandpa Tan's happiness, thinks, there's something that fart magic Grandpa is good at? After this, throughout the practice session, all Grandpa Tan did was let out farts. And Grandpa Tan thinks, impossible. I couldn't use my skill against the slime even once. And sits at one place with a very sad heart. And then Buer comes to that place and says to Grandpa Tan, greetings, sir. I'm a demon who goes by the name Buer. Do you perhaps know of a grandpa named Tan? And Grandpa Tan says, huh? That's me? And Buer also says, ah. So that's you? Son of a bitch. How fortunate. I get to meet the bastard who killed my left and right-hand men, the demon twins. I'm the Buer, commander of the demon army's 10th division. Hearing Buer's words, Grandpa Tan says to Buer, I see. So you're that demon I heard about. In that case, if I submit your corpse, I'll get a very high score on the assignment. And take this. Fireball. Buer becomes alert after hearing Fireball's name. It's coming, a high-level magician's attack. I heard he took down a demon dragon so easily. A fireball the level of a dragon's breath. But as we know, Grandpa Tan cannot do fireball attacks, and the same thing happens. And seeing that Buer is scared, Senna and Vito are laughing. He got scared. A commander got scared of a fart. And now Buer gets angry. That's not it. I did that 'cause I thought it'd stink. Grandpa Tan laughs and says, hee hee, they say farts with no smell make the loudest noise. It must be the same for you. Hearing Grandpa Tan's words, Buer gets more angry and says, enough of this. I'm done being respectful to an elder. Grandpa Tan doesn't care about Buer's words, and Grandpa Tan replies to Buer, look at that. Going all cross-eyed on me. All right. Get over here, kiddo. I shall fix your poor manners. Take this. Earth shot. Buer is also ready to stop Grandpa Tan's attack. And he stops Grandpa Tan's attack with his roar and says to Grandpa Tan, how's that? This body boasts the best combat skills, even among demons. And Grandpa Tan tries to throw a punch at Buer, but Buer avoids his punch, and Grandpa Tan tells him, first is humility, second is humility. And Buer says to Grandpa Tan, mannerless bastard. Stop messing with me while I'm talking. But Grandpa Tan's style is something different, like this. What you gonna do? You can't do anything, can you? You can't touch a strand of my hair, can you? And then Grandpa Tan gets a sucker punch, and both of them start fighting like children. And Senna and Vito are watching all this from a distance, and Vito is thinking, an old guy who can't even make a fireball is using earth magic this well? It's still well into development, but... And Vito says to Senna, do you think he can handle that without our help? And Senna says, huh? Don't know his personality? If we interfere, he'd just say he wants to hunt it himself in anger. Besides, that old man needs to get beat. And Grandpa Tan is getting beat up a lot by Buer, and he is thinking, why you crazy punks? Help me. I can't go on like this. And then Grandpa Tan points to timeout and says, do you allow timeout? And Buer says, alright, I'll allow it. Since I fight fair and square. And Buer is thinking, hee hee. I win in both skills and character. My complete victory. After this, Grandpa Tan says, then forgive me for doing this to a fair fighter. I'll show you my true skills from now on. Kiddos, what are you doing? Fetch me my sledgehammer. But Senna says, your hammer isn't here. You said you wouldn't take your hammer because you wanted to hunt monsters with only magic. How can we fetch that heavy thing? Hearing Senna's words, Grandpa Tan thinks, wow, shucks. I love using hammers though. And again Grandpa Tan starts beating and Senna says, Elder, you know how to make a hammer. And Grandpa Tan is saying to Buer, please. Stop beating around the bush, just answer me. And then Grandpa Tan remembers something. That's right. Create hammer. Centering earth magic in my wand, call to the earth, gather all the rocks around. And now all three are surprised to see Grandpa Tan's technique, and Grandpa Tan made a huge hammer out of stone. Seeing this, Buer calls time out, but Grandpa Tan tells Buer, there are no timeouts during fights, dumbass. And after listening to Grandpa Tan, Buer calls Grandpa Tan a devilish bastard. And there is a huge attack on Buer, due to which Buer is killed. Next scene we are shown in the demon world, where Buer's funeral is going on, and the demon king says, another star has fallen, that damned hammer Gramps. And another demon says, when humans die they come to hell, but where do dead demons go if we have to hold funeral rites for them? So the demon king says, I'm not so sure. But they go to heaven. And get beat up by the angels there. No matter how hopeless they are, I cannot stand someone else messing with my family. I shall never forgive that, Grandpa. So, we have to show them the difference between humans and demons. Make sure to find a sure-proof way to get rid of them, starting with that, Grandpa. And the second demon says, I already had a perfect plan in mind. During the midterm examinations, I'll make sure to get rid of that damned hammer, Grandpa. And now this demon starts laughing loudly, and seeing him laughing, the demon king also starts laughing. Now both of them laugh together and laugh very loudly. But the demon king thinks, fuck. How long do I have to laugh with this dude? After this we are shown a scene of the class, where a girl is saying, I'll begin my presentation for the training assessment. Our team succeeded in catching a 100-year-old wild ginseng monster. We've been doing exploratory magic since the beginning of the semester, and we eventually succeeded in finding its hiding place. And a boy takes something out of the bundle and says, this is going to be something unlike anything you've seen before. This is a 100-year-old wild ginseng. And that boy starts laughing very loudly, and everyone gets shocked seeing that boy's laughter. After this Arnold comes and says, I, Arnold, shall begin my presentation. I and the upperclassmen in my team managed to subdue an evil demon. And Arnold is thinking, I had to deal with so much after pissing my pants in the classroom. The mockery everyone murmured behind my back. After this presentation, I'm going to escape the pissing pants title. And Arnold tells everyone, I delivered the final blow to the fleeing demon. And then the necklace falls from Arnold's hand. And when that necklace opens, there is a photo of a demon family in it. And everyone gets surprised after seeing him, and people think, wow, he crossed the line. And since then, that day added more titles to Arnold's ever-growing list. Pissing Pants Arnold, Piece of Shit Arnold, Ne'er-do-well Arnold, Arnold did an Arnold, Mood Pissing Arnold, Always a Skip Arnold, Sob Arnold, Family Destroyer Arnold. And after this, it is Grandpa Tan's turn. And Grandpa Tan says, I doubt there's anyone else who has done something better than I did. I'll show you. These are hair strands from Buer, the commander of the demon army. But no one believes Grandpa Tan's words and they say, Commander of the demon army? Don't you just pluck out some random person's hair? And the teacher says, Tan, why did you bring his hair instead of other kinds of spoils? And Grandpa Tan says, huh? That's because he got smashed to the point where I couldn't recognize him. Still the teacher doesn't believe what Grandpa Tan says. After this, Grandpa Tan comes to Senna while searching for her. And Senna asks what is the problem right now. So Grandpa Tan asks for help from Senna and tells, the teacher didn't believe me and give me an F. I'll fall if my grade average is less than a C. What do I do? So Senna says, well, no worries, it's okay if you got an F. Grandpa Tan becomes happy after listening to Senna, and Senna further says, if you turn it over it looks like haha, and Grandpa Tan becomes sad after hearing such things from Senna, and Senna laughs and says, so you can just laugh it off. And Grandpa Tan says with a sad heart, kick an old man in the guts already, would you? Then Senna tells something to Grandpa Tan and says if you got an F, you just need to do well during the midterms to raise your grade average. For the midterm exams, you have to complete requests from a village that needs help and then get a medal. And Grandpa Tan says then what? So Senna says it's simple. We need to go to the village with the difficulty level, Elf Village. And so, Tan began his journey to Elf Village. And Grandpa Tan asked Senna, who is that person? So Senna tells, she's Abanus from second year. She has the ability to change into an animal. Abanus, can you show your magic to Gramps? And Abanus says, well, since you asked, sure. Transformation. She's quite shy. And Abanus transforms into a tiger. And Grandpa Tan gets surprised to see her, and Abanus starts licking Senna and Senna says, pretty cool, right? Her ability is cool but also really cute. And Grandpa Tan thinks I see. It's cute, I also want a pet. And Abanus, after listening to Grandpa Tan, growls at Grandpa Tan, seeing which Grandpa Tan gets scared and thinks, fuck. Why is the drawing style different only for me? After some time, they all reach the elf village and Grandpa Tan says, why did it become nighttime as soon as we entered? And Senna says, I think this might be related to the village's request. And Grandpa Tan looks ahead and says, are they children of the night or something? Well, I can just ask those people. Young fellows, I need to ask you about something. We came to solve this village's request. Do you know where we need to go? Hearing Grandpa Tan's words, all the elves start staring at Grandpa Tan, and they say, this crazy bastard. Talking to me casually when you're just a human? How old are you, you punk? Shouldn't you be giving me a 90-degree bow? Looks like he's still wet behind the ears. And hearing such a bad insult to Grandpa Tan by the elf, both Abanus and Senna start laughing. And then Grandpa Tan says, there are a lot of difficulty level villages, why do you insist on Elf Village? So Senna says, sheesh, I told you I know a way to solve their request. Just follow me. And Grandpa Tan thinks, so this was the reason why she insisted. So they could make fun of me? Let's not get discouraged. I only came to solve their requests. And Grandpa Tan says to those elves, I apologize for my late greetings. My name is Tan. And an elf says, now you're talking. Call me Big Bro from now on. And Grandpa Tan calls him Big Bro and thinks, should I kill this dude? And that elf says to Grandpa Tan, follow me, punk. I'll explain as we go. Our village people offer our blood to the vampires. After offering blood, we only receive dark magic for a brief moment. The fact that the sun doesn't rise here is fatal to the farmer and vegetarian elves. That bastard knows this and uses power from the demons to steal the sun. He used to be of our own kind but is now using our biggest weakness against us. He definitely went completely crazy after getting a taste of blood. To get blood, he sold his soul to the demons. And then someone comes there and says, that's not true. My brother is not that kind of person, take that back. And the elf tells, oh right. That kiddo is the younger brother of the lowlife I was talking about. Well, this is better for me, he'll lead the way for you guys instead. It might get dangerous, so how fortunate for me. Good luck then. And Grandpa Tan thinks, talking about someone else while doing his job. At his full-grown age. And that elf again says to Grandpa Tan, hey, aren't you going to bow? And Grandpa Tan bows down, and says goodbye Big Bro to that elf. And that elf says to Grandpa Tan, if you don't say your greetings the next time we meet, you're dead meat. And Grandpa Tan gets angry and thinks, there'll be no next time, Big Bro, because the next time we meet will be your last. Who? Think about your grades. You can deal with that one later, I'll just coax the kid first. Meet the child at face level and speak in a kind tone. And Grandpa Tan asks that elf, hey kiddo, could you tell us where your big brother is? This grandpa is from magic school. But that little elf says, ha? Are you joking? Kiddo? How old are you? And the little elf says that I am 71 years old, and whereas Grandpa Tan is just 70 years old. After this the scene shifts to the demon world. And the demon king is keeping an eye on Grandpa Tan with a magical crystal. And he says, so damn ugly, Looks like he's heading for the vampire castle. Summon Lilith. And Lilith comes to that place and says, I'm already here. Since I know the master's desires, just give me the order. And the Demon King says, so she can hide her presence even from me. Fine. I know I can always trust you. Since you've never once lost to a human, bring that hammer Gramps' head to me. After this, we are shown the scene from the human world, and Grandpa Tan is saying, in human years you're only a 7-year-old child. 10-year-old dogs get treated like 70-year-olds too. Let's just say you're 7. But the little elf child says, then do you talk to a mayfly casually in the morning and then formally at night? Since I've lived 70 years, I'm 70 years old. Let's just go with that. And Grandpa Tan gets surprised after listening to that elf. And from behind, Senna and Abanus are thinking, he got bested by logic. His language processing skills are definitely that of a 70-year-old. Then the elf says, if you have nothing else to say, shut your mouth and follow me. And call me Big Bro from now on. And Tan, who wants to erase injustice from the world. Then a scene from another place is shown, in front of the vampire castle. And Senna says, it's definitely spooky. And Grandpa Tan thinks, the kid grandpa is pretty scared. And Abanus says, but it feels like something is gonna pop out from nowhere. And then someone comes to that place, and stops all 4 of them. And some zombies have come to that place, and seeing them, Abanus transforms into a lion, and when the zombies see a lion, they start running away from there. And seeing them, both Senna and Grandpa Tan say, wow. They left as soon as they came. It was quite scary for me too. And then some more zombies come to that place and say, those old school zombies, walking so slow that they look stupid. That's why they're old school zombies. We're the modern zombies. Power, speed. We're on a different level from the old school zombies. And looking at those zombies, Grandpa Tan thinks, they keep on saying old school. Why does it make me angry to hear? And Grandpa Tan says to those zombies, alright, young folks, since your bodies are way stronger than the old school zombies, how about you get hit with my hammer? And hearing Grandpa Tan's words, the zombies start running away from there and say, fuck. A hammer is too much for us. And seeing those zombies running, Grandpa Tan thinks they run pretty fast. And when Abanus, if you look behind you, there is no elf grandpa there. Then Abanus says, I think he got scared and ran away while I was transforming. And hearing this, Senna gets shocked and says, what? Doing whatever he wants cause he thinks he's an adult. Let's spread out and look for him before he goes too far. But Grandpa Tan says, oh. That big bro is not my problem, it's a good thing since I never liked him anyway. But Senna gets angry and says, what are you talking about? If someone gets hurt during the mission, we all get F. And now everyone separates and searches for that elf grandpa. And Abanus elf is calling Grandpa, kid grandpa, where are you? I'll make sure to protect you, so come out. Are you playing hide and seek? Come out wherever you are. There's a werewolf behind Abanus, and Abanus doesn't know anything about it. And we see Senna, who is looking for elf grandpa. Elf grandpa, if you're here, please answer, did you go home already? Grandpa. And someone is secretly watching Senna. And Grandpa Tan is also looking for an elf grandpa. Hey, big bro, stop messing around and come out. Ugh. Do I have to call someone that isn't even here, big bro? Maybe he'll get angry and come out if I treat him like a kid? And when Grandpa Tan looks ahead, someone is walking from there. And Grandpa Tan asks her, young miss, have you seen an elf kid around this height around here? I think he went this way. So she replies, calling me a young miss on our first meeting. What a rude old man. I think I can see why the master doesn't like you. I'm not your young miss, but the commander of the demon army's 9th division, Lilith. In the name of the demons, I shall kill you. And listening to her words, Grandpa Tan thinks, telling me at first meeting that she'll kill me is even ruder. After this, the scene shifts, and a female ghost tells us about herself. Hi. I'm a ghost that lives in his castle. For some reason, it's pretty noisy outside today. I think some guests have arrived, and then the female ghost hears some sound. She thinks someone is coming? And the one coming is Elf Grandpa. And the Elf Grandpa is thinking as he runs, I got into the castle amidst the chaos. Why is my brother in a place like this? Did he really go crazy after drinking blood? And the female ghost becomes very happy. Looks like someone's here. Will I finally get a new friend? Should I surprise them? I'm going to make sure my new friend doesn't get too scared and greet them with a smiling face. Hello? And the elf grandpa gets scared after seeing that female ghost. And they faint on the spot, and the ghost says, "Oh, oopsies. I think I made my new friend a ghost." After this we look at Abanis, which is still searching for elf grandpa. And the werewolf behind him says, "Hey, human! I'm Crimson Werewolf. And how dare you invade our land without fear? Humans cannot be in demon spaces. Since you've broken the unwritten law, you wouldn't mind dying, would you?" And Abanis asks the Crimson Wolf, "Aren't you half human? So shouldn't I get half killed?" And the Crimson Wolf becomes confused. But he attacks Abanis and says, "This is why you're a human bastard. I shall eat you alive." But Abanis is also ready and says, "You're only mad because you got bested by logic." Transformation. And Abanis transforms into a big bear and says, "Who's eating who?" Wanna say that again, but the Crimson Wolf smiles and tells Abanis, "Looks like there's a misunderstanding. I only wanted us to eat salmon and honey together." And Abanis becomes happy and says, "You're giving this to me? You're really sweet." But this was a trick of the Crimson Wolf. And he attacks Abanis and says, "Sweet my ass." And due to that attack, Abanis slips away, and comes back to its original form. And the Crimson Wolf says, "I already saw through your magic when you faced those zombies. You lose your intelligence when you transform into an animal. You cannot defeat me when I possess both human intellect and the power of a beast." But Abanis says, "We can only be sure after a fight, transformation." And transforms into a lion. But the Crimson Wolf is ready for that too and says, "How's this, kitty?" And Abanis becomes happy again and says, "Wait, this is really fun. You're a fun guy." And taking advantage of this opportunity, Crimson Wolf again attacks Abanis and says, "Hey, you got fooled again, dummy." And Abanis again slides away and comes back to its original form, and says, "What a coward. Hitting an animal. This is animal abuse." But the Crimson Wolf says, "You dunce. I'm also half animal. It's legal for me to beat you up in animal form. Don't feel too sad, human. I shall end you with this. Die." But at this time Abanis tries to block the Crimson Wolf's attack with her hands, and seeing this Crimson asks, "What are you doing? Aren't you going to transform anymore? Do you really think your strength in human form can defeat me? You're just as dumb in human form." But Abanis says to that Crimson Wolf, "Dumb? No, you're the dumb one. Do you think you know everything about my magic all because you saw me transform into animals? I can't transform into every animal. If I could, I'd have transformed into Adragon from the start. My magic allows me to transform into any animal I touch." And the Crimson Wolf is shocked to hear Abanis's words. And then a very bright light comes out from inside Abanis, and the Crimson Wolf thinks, "Damn it, I was careless. I didn't think about the conditions of her magic." And when the Crimson Wolf looks ahead, he becomes very surprised. Because in the front is Abanis, who has now become a Crimson Wolf lady. Abanis' transformation into werewolf form, successful. And looking at Abanis, Crimson Wolf thinks, "I am possible. She's so beautiful." After this, when Abanis looks ahead, she gets a little surprised. Because now the scene has changed a bit, and a zombie waiter says, "That gentle man over there got this for you." And the Crimson Wolf says, "Haha. Hello there. Would you like to have a glass with me?" But Abanis thinks there may be another plot by the Crimson Wolf here. And thinking this, Abanis attacks her and says, "Don't fucking wink at me." And Abanis is fucking Crimson Wolf, and the zombie thinks, She's pretty crazy, should I stop her? He'll die at this rate. Excuse me." And Abanis angrily says to the zombie, "What? Want a piece of me too?" So the zombie says, "Oh. No, seems like a pretty serious conversation you're having there. I'll take my leave." And the zombie while running away from that place thinks, "I almost died. Even though I'm already dead." And then Abanis asks the Crimson Wolf, "Why do you keep taking all my punches?" So the Crimson Wolf says, once a wolf falls in love, they would willingly give up their life. Even though I only met you O'Day, you've already stolen my heart. How could I dare to hit you? And Abanus blushes and thinks, crazy bastard. After beating me up earlier. Whatever. I have no interest in beating up an innocent person. Since I transformed into an animal I saw for the first time, my mana is almost used up. Let's just end this. And now Abanus starts to leave and says to Crimson Wolf, I'd like to beat you up to my heart's content, but I don't want to see your annoying mug, so get away from my face. And after Abanus leaves, Crimson Wolf thinks it hurts so bad. But my heart hurts more than my body. This must be love. I loved her so dearly. Crimson versus Abanus. Abanus is the winner. And also stolen Crimson Wolf heart. And after this, when Senna is searching for Elf Grandpa, she hears someone's voice. And that thing says, hey, human. Leave immediately. This is my home. And Senna says to him, oh, sorry. I'm looking for a kid who lost his. Wait, it'll only take a minute, but that thing tells Senna, not my problem. Get out. And hearing this, Senna gets angry and says, ugh. Fuck. I'm telling you it'll only take a minute, and she attacks him with her fireball. And whatever that thing was, it's gone in an instant, and Senna thinks, ha. This fire-like personality of mine I got worked up without realizing. But then there's a bang, and something comes out from that place. Senna is surprised to see it, and it looks like a dinosaur, and he says, how dare you force me out of the water? I cannot let you leave this place now that you've seen me. Prepare to get killed by me, Makelumbem. My teeth will grind you into a bloody pulp. And Makelumbem attacks Senna, but Senna escapes from her attack and says to Makelumbem, wait. I don't want to fight. I only came to look for a lost kid. But Makelumbem does not believe what Senna says. And tells him, no, you'll probably go tell another human once you leave this place. You'll tell them there's a monster here. Once those human bastards find me, they'll bring more humans to come watch me. I just wanted to live a peaceful life. I don't want people to keep looking at me. That means I can even catch a break in my own home. Besides, I'm so introverted that I got a 100% I in my MBTI personality test. That's why I moved to a place without humans. How could you discover me home again? And Senna says, I didn't know that. I'm sorry, Kalyanangbate. Mokalumbembit says it's Makelumbem. And Senna says, I won't come here again or spread rumors about you being here. I promise. But Makelumbem says, I know that Sanather lie of yours. Why? There's no way someone wouldn't come back to see a handsome monster like me. And seeing Makelumbem doing this, Senna starts laughing and says he's an introvert but his self-consciousness is extreme. What a tiring personality. And Senna says to Makelumbem, no, I'll definitely never come back. Can't you believe me this once? But Makelumbem repeatedly calls Senna a liar, and hearing this Senna gets very angry and says, fuck it. Stop interrupting me. Shove this up your mouth hole. Kalyanangbate. And attacks Makelumbem. And seeing the attack coming towards him, the Makelumbem says, ha! Fire magic? You've got bad luck. Water style. Water barrier jutsu. And Senna thinks, no way. A monster using water magic? And Makelumbem bounces water from her hand, creating a wall of water and blocking Senna's fireball attack. And Makelumbem laughs and says, hee hee. How's that? With me in the water, you can't touch a single hair of mine. It'll remain this way till you run out of mana and die. And Senna says, you don't even have hair. And Senna thinks, no matter how trashy his skills are, my attacks won't work since he's in the water, so Senna casts a spell to do a special attack. And seeing this, Makelumbem laughs and says, hee hee hee. You're still going? You're only wasting mana. And Senna prepares her special attack and thinks, magic with divine blue flames that can spread at a wide range. Secret technique. Gas range. And Makelumbem gets trapped in a circle of blue fire. And gradually the water starts getting hot, and the water starts boiling, due to which Makelumbem gets in a lot of trouble, and he tries to come out of the water, and he comes out of the water, And his body is a little burnt, and he is in a lot of pain. And then Senna comes in front of him and says, I'll make it even hotter. And Maka gets very scared, seeing Senna's dangerous face. And then there is a huge explosion at that place, and slowly the smoke clears from that place. And then Senna says, no matter how much water you have, it is bound to run out against the raging fire. And Maka has now lost and says, you were not weak. But I was only a little stronger. And Senna thinks I sound so freaking cool. And Maka versus Senna. Senna wins. After this the scene shifts, and Lilith is saying, I'm a succubus who can manipulate human desires. You should think of it as an honor to get killed by a beautiful demon like me. Grandpa Tan looks at Lilith and thinks, why is she twisting her body like that? Does she need to pee? And Lilith quickly moves forward to attack Grandpa Tan and says, I can tell regardless of your impudent expression, that you've already fallen for me. And Grandpa Tan dodges Lilith's attack and slips back. But Lilith attacks him, due to which Grandpa Tan goes far away. But Grandpa Tan tells Lilith that you are very slow, and Lilith says, you're as strong as I heard, but you're extremely lacking when faced with someone like me. But Lilith's legs are trembling due to that attack. And Grandpa Tan also sees this thing and thinks, that must have hurt. And Lilith says, you just thought that must have hurt, didn't you? I just read your mind. But Grandpa Tan says even a passing dog would know that. And Lilith prepares an attack and says, I'll admit, you're pretty strong. I'll take this fight seriously. And Grandpa Tan's shadow under his feet starts reacting strangely. And we see a shadow behind Grandpa Tan, which is looking very dangerous. And Grandpa Tan also notices him, and then that shadow attacks Grandpa Tan, and Grandpa Tan thinks, I got hit. But Grandpa Tan is not hit, he does not understand anything, and then Lilith moves very fast to attack Grandpa Tan. And while attacking she says, that was a fake. How can a shadow attack humans? There's always something else hidden behind the attack. The technique just now was nothing more than an illusion, but Grandpa Tan blocks Lilith's attack again, and seeing this, Lilith gets surprised, and comes back. And she feels a lot of pain in her leg. Ouch. I got hit in the same spot. Ah. This one hurts. And seeing Lilith in this condition, Grandpa Tan also feels very bad and thinks, wow. That one must have hurt pretty bad. And Lilith says to Grandpa Tan, you just thought, wow. That one must have hurt pretty bad. Didn't you? I just read your mind. And after listening to Lilith's words, Grandpa Tan understands she is crazy. And after this, we are told something. Humans are animals that live by giving hearts to others. People. Animals. Giving their heart through actions or items. They're weak-minded creatures who fall into despair if they cannot do this. They call the act of giving their heart love. They transform into that which humans love and desire, and then kill them. The greatest succubus, Lilith. And Lilith is wondering, but why? Why am I in this state? And she says, you're the first human to ever give me such a hard time. You can take pride in knowing that as you meet your demise. And Grandpa Tan listens to her words and thinks, I didn't do anything though. And Lilith says, fine. I'll show you. My final technique. And Lilith moves forward to attack Grandpa Tan. And seeing Lilith coming towards him, Grandpa Tan becomes alert. But Lilith is coming very fast towards Grandpa Tan and says, I'll go inside your head and transform into what you love the most. And hearing Lilith's words, Grandpa Tan starts shouting. And tries to keep Lilith away from him. But Lilith does not care and she says, it's no use. Just like my shadow cannot attack humans, this form won't cause any physical damage to you either. Then, excuse my rudeness, and Lilith now starts going inside Grandpa Tan's mind. And when Lilith goes inside Grandpa Tan's mind, Grandpa Tan's eyes close. And he falls to the ground, and becomes unconscious, and now Lilith is inside Grandpa Tan's mind, and looks around and says, so this is the inside of that damned grandpa's head, what the, it's only full of hammers and rocks. And as soon as he looks ahead, he sees something. And it is a very big door, and on that door it is written, room for what I want the most. And looking at that door, Lilith says, I found it. It's my first time seeing a door this big. What could he possibly want this badly? If I transform into this, I can easily kill off that grandpa. Money? Women? What could he want? Ugh, it's too bright. What in the world is it? And it's really very bright on the front. And as Lilith walks forward, she sees a fireball in front of her. And that fireball says, "Hi, I'm Fireball Graphire," it means Grandpa Fire. And then the sound of someone screaming is heard. And it is Lilith who is burning in that fireball. Shay's feeling very hot. Her body starts burning. And Lilith thinks, this is crazy. What kind of human loves fireballs? Damn it, my body is turning into a fireball. I'm getting bested by my own magic. Master Satan. I'm sorry. And Lilith is killed. And the Demon King is seeing all these things in the magic crystal. And seeing all this, the Demon King becomes very disappointed. I feel bad for the Demon King, because a lot of his demons have been killed while trying to kill an old grandpa. And in this frustration, the Demon King shouts very loudly. After some time, Abanus and Senna arrive at the place, who tried to wake up Grandpa Tan. And Grandpa Tan wakes up from unconsciousness. And Abanus and Senna both say, "We were trying our best to search for the kid while you were here lazing around?" And Grandpa Tan says to him, "Huh? Didn't you see the weird woman that was here? We were having a huge battle." But Senna does not believe Grandpa Tan's words and says, "Oh, so you're just going to make up lies now? We saw you sleeping just now, but you're playing innocent?" But Grandpa Tan says, "Don't point your fingers at me." And Abanus says, "You're only serious during times like these." I transformed and searched around the area, but there was no one outside. Hearing Abanus' words, Grandpa Tan understands where Kid Grandpa will be. And he says, "Maybe they're in the castle." And all three move quickly towards that castle. And as soon as they go ahead, someone comes in front of them and says, "I'm Puppet Master Doroma. I shall kill you and—" But then Grandpa Tan throws him away with his hands. Then they all go further. Then he finds someone else and he says, "I'm a chainsaw serial killer," and Grandpa Tan throws him away too. And they all go further and they meet a clown, and he says, "It's me." And Grandpa Tan throws it away before he can say anything. And as they go further, they meet a nun. She too is about to see something, but Grandpa Tan throws her away too. Whoever is coming in front of Grandpa Tan is throwing them all away. And as Grandpa Tan goes ahead, he sees someone in front, who is a skeleton, and he says, "So you've finally arrived. But you'll never get past here. I'm the undead Delac. Till I became a skeleton, I used to be a magician who specialized in barrier magic. You pathetic students and the musclehead Gramps will never be able to open this door." And listening to that skeleton's words, Senna thinks, it's definitely more complicated than the pathetic magic circle we use. What do we do? And the skeleton tells them, "Haha. Seeing your speechless expressions, you must think that my magic is amazing. Alright, why don't you try solving?" But then Grandpa Tan breaks a wall, and makes a path. And seeing this, the skeleton comes behind Grandpa Tan, and says to Grandpa Tan, "Excuse me. I worked hard to make this, so why don't you try to solve it once? It's a barrier I spent my whole life developing. Please." But Grandpa Tan removes the skeleton's hands from his shoulders and says, "Ugh. Why do you keep hanging on to me? You already lost. Piss off." And that skeleton falls to the ground, and all its bones scatter. And seeing this, Grandpa Tan thinks, I didn't mean to go this far." And then Senna says to Grandpa Tan, "Elder, you solved the barrier," and Grandpa Tan becomes happy after listening to Senna. Tan found a way to solve the barrier, and while opening that door, Grandpa Tan says, "Open Shazam," and Senna, listening to Grandpa Tan's dialogue, says, "Ugh. That sounds so old." And as soon as they all go inside, they see someone sitting on a throne in front. Sitting there, and he says, "Welcome to my castle, intruders. As you enter, could you turn on the lights? I'd like to see your faces." And this is an elf vampire and his name is Anthony. And then Grandpa Tan presses the light button, and Grandpa Tan comes forward and says, "Here. Good looking, right?" And Anthony says, "Thank you for turning on the lights. But you have created a commotion on my holy grounds." And Grandpa Tan says, "We only wanted to meet you, but they kept attacking us. Pretty unfair, don't you think?" And Anthony says, don't talk to me like that. I'm 200 years older than you. And Grandpa Tan says, sure. Big bro. And Anthony tells, I've been watching you punks since chapter 8. And Grandpa Tan asks, huh, from where? So Anthony tells, I was standing all the way back there. Right there. I watched all of you fight. Bruh. Do you think this is? Spot the difference? I'm talking to myself, not you. And Senna says, then why did you come back to the room? You could have met us immediately from that spot. And Anthony says it's a common rule that the final boss obnoxiously waits in the highest tower or castle. Don't you know that? And Anthony thinks, plus, there are too many crosses there, and Grandpa Tan says to Anthony, big bro. Do you know that your little brother is here too? He's probably somewhere in the castle. And listening to Grandpa Tan, Anthony gets angry and says, you dare to speak of my little brother? He hates humans. There's no way he followed you humans. Unless. Did you kidnap my little brother? Release him right away. And Grandpa Tan says, no. Didn't you say? You were watching, how didn't you see that? You're just like those pea-brains from the morning dramas that can't recognize their own family. And Anthony prepares an attack and says, just because you're old in human years, makes you think you can confuse me with your words. However, it won't work on me. And Anthony attacks them with blood, which later becomes a dangerous blood blade attack. And seeing him, Grandpa Tan, using his power, creates a wall. And says, you really don't listen, do you? Wait. Why are you hiding behind me? Then Senna whispers in Grandpa Tan's ear, we both used up our mana while fighting. But Grandpa Tan cannot hear Senna properly. And he says, speak a little louder. So Senna says the same thing a little louder, and hearing this Grandpa Tan says loudly, what? You used up all your mana. And when Grandpa Tan says that thing loudly, Senna gets angry and says, you can't say it out that loud. And Grandpa Tan says, don't point your fingers at me, young lady. And Anthony has also heard his words and he says, my job has gotten easier. I just need to take care of the old human first, and put an end to this fight. Kill the grandpa and send the rest soon after. But Grandpa Tan says to Anthony, what a cold-hearted bro. I learned what they call bad people like you who refuse to understand the situations of others. Well, if it isn't Arnold, my buddy, I want to be close to the other classmates, but I don't know what slang kids nowadays use. Could you tell me? And at that time Arnold had said something to Grandpa Tan, slangs kids nowadays use? Ha! Then I'll tell you this one. And Grandpa Tan thinks, how do they do this? Your hands in this position. Like this. Are you AT? And when Grandpa Tan does this, a bright light comes out, and seeing it, Anthony covers his eyes with his hands. And says, get the cross away. But Abanus and Senna think he did the wrong hand move. He got him for sure. And now Anthony is angry and he says, I said get the cross away from my face. And attacks. Grandpa Tan and the bats attack Grandpa Tan. And Grandpa Tan's hands start bleeding. And, seeing this, Anthony says it's magic that draws blood from the lightest wound. To the point where you bleed to death. But Grandpa Tan tightens his body muscles and says, how's this? I stopped the bleeding by enlarging my muscles. And seeing this thing, Anthony is surprised and thinks, what? How's that possible? Is it some kind of magic? And this makes Anthony even more angry. And using his blood, he creates a weapon and says, try to stop this. And quickly moves forward to attack Grandpa Tan, and attacks Grandpa Tan. And to stop Anthony's attack, Grandpa Tan puts the hammer in front, but his method does not work. Because the blood turns into liquid and becomes a proper weapon again. And seeing this, Grandpa Tan gets surprised and says, I definitely stopped it. Was that a system bug? And now trying to avoid Grandpa Tan's attacks, he is barely able to avoid Anthony's attacks. And seeing this, Senna says, no way. He's taking advantage of the flexibility of blood in its liquid form and using the platelet and iron in it to give a strong vet clean attack. And Grandpa Tan says, at this point you two are just here for sightseeing. Stop watching only and help. And after listening to their words, Anthony says, hee hee. Thank you for explaining so nicely. Don't feel so bad if you get killed by such an amazing magic technique. And Grandpa Tan says, this might be a cowardly move. But one more time. And as Grandpa Tan tries to make a hand sign, Anthony starts covering his eyes again. And he thinks, huh? My eyes don't hurt. Because it was a trick of Grandpa Tan that was a fake. And Grandpa Tan makes a dangerous attack on Anthony with his hammer, due to which Anthony breaks the wall and goes far away. And seeing this, Grandpa Tan becomes happy and says, you might be a vampire, but you can't beat my hammer. Shouldn't this be enough to get an A? By the way, second and third year students got carried by a first year student. And you were so insistent that I was sleeping. But you did nothing. Absolutely nothing, hee hee. Arnold shakes his butt like this when he's happy. Am I doing it right? Hee hee. And Senna asks, who the hell is that Arnold? And then Senna feels something, and she says, Elder. The dark magic hasn't disappeared yet. It's 1 p.m. There's no way it's still this dark. And Grandpa Tan says, What are you talking about? What hasn't disappeared? And then Anthony attacks Grandpa Tan again. And there's a huge explosion at that place, and Anthony says, are these guys looking down on me? Do you think I'd go down with such a pathetic move? The final boss never goes down in one strike. How insulting. How could I, Vampire Anthony, get beat by a mere old human? And back then, if I hadn't used the attack with blood magic, I'd have been eliminated on the spot. Ugh, my head is still ringing. Did I use too much blood magic? I'm feeling anemic. I need to hurry and heal. And Anthony takes out the blood and starts drinking it, hits the spot. As long as I refuel with blood, my mana will never drop. Besides, they're just two manaless magicians and a strong old man on a suicide mission. Just give up and surrender. Wait. Are they dead already? And then a light emerges from the roof of the castle, which was a stone attack. And Anthony survives that attack with great difficulty and thinks, what? What's that thing heading this way? And Grandpa Tan says, who says I'm on a suicide mission? And I'm a magician too. And Grandpa Tan picks up the stone and hits it with his hammer, and attacks Anthony, but Anthony escapes from Grandpa Tan's attack. And gets ready to attack again, but Grandpa Tan avoids his attack and says, is there no way to fight him down here? And then Senna says to Grandpa Tan, Elder, hand over your shoes. Right now. And after this, Anthony does many attacks on all of them, but somehow they all survive, and Grandpa Tan says, will this really work? So Senna says, it's not like we have any other option. He can recover at a fast speed, so we have to end this quickly. Alright, I'm going for it. And Senna uses a magic spell, and Anthony sees a bright light coming from the castle, which is moving towards him. And Anthony says, these punks, what trick are they trying to pull? And then Grandpa Tan appears in front of Anthony, and there's a magic spell in Grandpa Tan's shoes, due to which he is flying in the air. And Grandpa Tan attacks Anthony, but Anthony escapes from that attack and says, you punk, how are you? But Grandpa Tan is looking at Anthony with a serious look and says, I'm Iron Man.